I'm going to take a crack at decoding this cryptic animation of iPet Goat 2. I will explain shortly, but I believe this video is an end times message from the elites. I believe that it gives their timeline with regards to the second Exodus. If you are not familiar with that terminology, I will include some links in the description box, which will hopefully help you to get an understanding of what the second Exodus is and this perspective that I am coming from. So check that out below. But this video is going to be a wild ride. I want to apologize up front. I am in my office in my basement and it is pretty cold down here, so I have a heater running. So if you hear the sound in the background, that is what you are hearing. Okay. So before I put this video together, I thought that I knew everything that I needed to know or was going to know, coming into this. But I want to tell you, I got so many more quote unquote downloads, to use Sister Brandy's word, as I was doing this. So I will be sharing this video privately to the family first, or only. I'm not sure yet. I did a recording of this already, but I was so exhausted, and my speech was so slow that I decided to go ahead and just re-record this at a faster pace, and hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to follow along, and I have more energy, so hopefully I will not be falling asleep during the recording like I did before. So like I said, I am going to be sharing this with the family privately first, and when I say family, I'm talking about the Israelite family community that I've been fellowshipping with. So this message, I initially didn't know all this was involved in this video. So as I was going through this, I did try to share this information with the Gentile Christian, but it didn't fare well. He was triggered initially by what I said about being my identity and things of that nature. So I just pretty much I was expecting it, and I didn't argue with him or anything like that. I just gave him the information, but he was resisting. So there is a lot to unpack in this video, and I try to keep it short, and that's why I wanted to come back speaking at a faster pace, because there is a lot that I need to cover. So with this video, I did stay up like literally all night. I was up till like 10 o'clock that next morning just working on this video, and more things were coming to me as I was actually creating the video, writing the script and putting the slides together and things like that. I was getting even more insights to this video and current events. So I really wanted to get it out, even though I was, super tired at first, and, my speech was slow. I wanted to get it out because I felt this urgency to get this information out. So before I get started, I want to give this caveat. I make no claims to being a biblical scholar or a scholar on secret symbolisms, or even iPet Goat 2 for that matter. These insights are based on my limited knowledge. And like I was saying, I gain more insights as the days go by and as new events occur. I am also no tech whiz, so bear with my use of the technology that I have and am familiar with. This video is for adults only, and I say that not because of my content, but because of the content from the original video, the iPet Goat 2 video. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with iPet Goat 2, in a nutshell, it is a highly cryptic animation. Okay, so here's what Wikipedia says. iPet Goat 2 is a 2012 Canadian animated short film written and directed, produced and edited by Louis Lefebvre. I don't know if I said that correctly, but hopefully I did. The film features a commentary on American society and politics, particularly covering Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama, with allusions to Osama bin Laden, the War on Terror, biblical theology, and Arabian imagery in a post-apocalyptic setting. The title is a reference to the pet goat, often erroneously referred to as My Pet Goat. The book President Bush read to children at Emma Booker School in Sarasota, Florida at the time of the September 11 attacks, which ends stating, "More to come." The film is known for its strong use of cryptic symbolism. And I put this picture here of President Bush at the time when they told him that the first tower had been struck. So this was them letting him know, and you can see who's in the children in the classroom. So this will be something I will speak on a little bit later. Okay. So as you can see, the original book says, quote unquote, "more to come." I believe this animation, the iPad Go 2, is giving a hint or a blatant expose to those in the know about what that more is to come. As we go through this, keep in mind that this video came out in 2012. Okay, that was over 10 years. That was 11 years ago. Are they prophesying? Let's check it out. Okay, so I want to give you a little background. I became aware of the iPad Go 2 video a few years ago. There were these two guys that I followed on YouTube for their interpretations. So there was two guys. So one was my favorite, and then there was this other guy who I knew about, but I rarely went on his channel. The second guy, he's a white guy named Jason, a professed Christian. This will be important to know because I did reach out to him with my interpretations. For the second guy, the first guy, I guess, my favorite. I'm not sure of his race. He has a British accent, and I didn't want to make any assumptions. And I don't recall if he ever mentioned being Christian. I'm of the opinion, as many others, that the elite put out their messages, plans, etc. in plain view, but they hide it through symbolism. So that was my main reason for listening to them and their breakdowns. I thought maybe they had some insights into current events. But after so many off interpretations, I started to watch them less and less, and eventually I just fell off from their channels. When all this stuff started happening with Russia being on our shores, I went back to see if they had any updates. First, I went to my favorite guy's channel, but he hadn't posted anything in a while, so I figured he was not doing it anymore. And I was praying that, everything was okay with him. He's in the UK, with everything that was going on with the jab. I'm just hoping that he's okay. So when I didn't see anything on his channel, I went to the second guy's channel, Jason. While looking at the latest video on his channel, someone in the comments said something that really caught my eye. And it was in reference to a scene with the apple, which I'm going to show you momentarily. But he said, and I quote, "What if the apple has something to do with Israel? The apple of God's eye." Unquote. When I saw that, my jaw dropped. I had never even thought to look through that lens. Actually, I never even tried to watch the video through and interpret it on my own. I just watched their clips and their interpretations. So I never even thought to even do my own investigation or even to have that perspective. But let me tell you, when I went back through it with the perspective of it being Israel, the true Israel, my mind exploded. I was like, wow, this is talking about us. And I should add, when I say us, I am a so-called African American, but my nationality is Israelite. And you know, you hear a lot of this stuff lately in the news about the quote unquote black Hebrew Israelites. It's just Hebrew Israelites. So that's the us. That's what I'm talking about. That's the perspective that I'm taking. So I feel like this iPad Go 2 is a cryptic message about the second Exodus. So I'm going to go through through the iPad Go 2 video, breaking it into clips, and then I'm going to go through and use screenshots of different, you know, just scenes, if you will, and break down what I got out of those scenes. If you haven't watched the video just all the way through in its entirety, I encourage you to do that. The video is called iPad Go 2, and it's by Heliofont. So if you do a YouTube search, you'll see iPad Go 2, or you can use 2 eyes, either one, and it'll pop up these videos here. I don't really have, I usually just go to this first one because it's the first one that comes up, but either one is fine. The second one is by the actual creator of the video, so you know that should be fine too. So so I'm just going to go ahead and kick this thing off. Okay, so I'm going to show you the clips and then what I make of it. I just want you to know that everything in this video, I mean, like everything that they put in here has a meaning. I just don't know what they all mean. There are some that, you know, could possibly speculate on, but I'm not going to go in there just because I don't want this video to become like, you know, 30 hours long. So I'm only going to speak on the ones that I have insights. But please note that there are a lot of symbolism in these clips in this video. And if you notice anything that sticks out to you, definitely let me know in the comments below. Okay, so I just want to say that just like with the Bible, I'll just say, you know, when the Gentiles are interpreting this, or people just who are knowledgeable or aware or want to acknowledge the Hebrews, the black Israelites, or that the Israelites are black, I guess I should word it like that, that the ancient original Hebrews were black people, you know, they're not going to get the true interpretation. Again, this is my opinion, and they come off as being these experts with all these sorts of feigned wisdom, and they're using these different opinions and techniques or whatever, but in my opinion, I just feel like they're totally off because they don't have that foundation. So if you watch some of their videos, you will see some of their interpretations are just, you know, kind of wild in my opinion. So anyway, here's the first clip of iPad Go 2. Alrighty, so that's the end of that. So let me go through the slides here. Okay, make sure I get these right. Okay, so this is the first scene that you see when it opens up. It comes to this goat in maximum security. And that was just something that I wanted to point out. The next slide, we have this puppet master, and he's identified as Draco by the Heliofont website. And if you look up Draco in Latin, that means dragon. Okay, so then they show this Bush, and he is the first puppet. Then they go into the classroom, and you see him coming in, making, doing all this dancing and stuff. But I wanted to point out here that they have this Masonic floor. Okay, and this one isn't my personal interpretation, but this is something that Jason, the Gentile, had mentioned, and he was talking about this shark here, that it is actually kind of like an alluding to Russia, because apparently Russia has these ships that are called shark in Russian. Okay, and there's this burning house here, and I take that to be America, that our house is on fire. So that's there. All right. And then at the top of the chalkboard, there is an evolution chart. I don't have it on this, obviously, on this clip here, but there's an evolution chart, and the last person, the guy, is enlightened because he has like this starburst behind his head. And then on the chalkboard, you will also see this hangman that has evolution written out here, and you can see that there are missing letters. And as they go through, he's doing all these crazy gestures or whatever. Then they have a close-up of this black lady with the missing letters shown. So you can see that the missing letters are U, I, and O. Okay, so here's the close-up of the letters on this hangman. Excuse me. But if you rearrange these letters, you get I-O-U, meaning a debt is owed. I believe that this is talking about reparations. I think that this is, United States owes reparations to the so-called African Americans, Black Americans, because the term African American has been hijacked by African immigrants. But I'm talking about the descendants of the enslaved. And so this is definitely a reference to reparations. Again, this is what I think is what they're talking about. Okay. On this screen here, they show this semen coming out. And I think that is, maybe an allusion to seed, like the seed of Abraham. But it also can be taken as like missiles being, discharged or something like that. All right, so on this clip here, they show Bush. He morphs into Obama. So he's the next puppet on the scene here. And there are a lot of symbols that, again, I've mentioned before, a lot of symbolisms here. But I personally don't have any insights to it. But there was this teleprompter, and it says LOL. And I think that is actually the international date of January 10th. Okay. So when I first looked this up, I was looking to see what occurred on January 10th, or what were significance with January 10th. And now when I was first I've been looking at this for a few days. And when I first was looking at this, I could have sworn that there was an article that said that there was a green comet on January 10th. I don't know what happened, but this time around, the article was written on January 10th, and it says that the green comet was on sighting is going to be on January 12th. I also saw for this particular date, that Tyree Nichols had passed away on this date. And so this again is another black man's death, and it occurred in Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis is another Egyptian city name, so that was significant. So this is another interesting entry on Venezuela. I'm not sure, but that caught my eye. So in 2019, I'm going to read what it says here. In Venezuela, Juan Guaido and the National Assembly declared incumbent President Nicolas Maduro illegitimate and started the process of attempting to remove him from office. I don't know if you guys remember all that was going on in Venezuela back in 2019. And I was, again, looking at these other websites to see what their interpretations were. So it was interesting that this caught my eye because there's a scene that comes up later that actually gave me a lot more insights that I didn't have before on that particular scene. Okay, moving along. So after the whole Obama things, and they show this girl, and the Heliofont website calls her Lily, and I'll talk about her in just a second. But I want to talk about these blue figures in the back. If you count them, there are 12 of them, and then you'll see that there's this barbed wire that's intertwined through these figures. Now, I believe that this is a reference to the 12 tribes of Israel, which are still captive, in some extent. And as you can see, this fourth figure here has a double loop. Okay. Now, if you look at the order of birth for the children of Israel, Judah is the fourth son. And as you can see here, Judah has a double loop, so he is in more bondage than the others. And if you, again, are familiar with the whole, transatlantic slave, and then how the Israelites got here and who, specifically were brought to the Americas, that's predominantly the tribe of Judah. So that you will see has this double portion, if you will, of troubles. So I believe that is what that is referring to. And then just looking at the color, blue is often used in movies to represent Israel in general and Judah specifically. So you'll see here, if you look at Killmonger from the movie Black Panther, you will see that he has these blue, this blue shirt underneath here, and he's often seen wearing this royal blue. Even in the scene where he is a child with his father, they show him wearing this blue color. And then, speaking of, black people and then blue, these figures are back here, but in the real life situation, these were black kids predominantly in the audience here. So again, there is that connection with that. So now let's talk about this little girl. So I initially, when I was looking at this, I wasn't sure what was going on here. But I think that this stag here gives me a lot of guidance to go off, because the stag is representing Great Britain or UK. And so I think this is, has something to do with Great Britain. Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was Britain or the Ish people, because I thought this circle here represented some sort of like protection, kind of like when you see those witches circle. But when Jason sent me an email reply, he had mentioned something about her identity, which kind of like, like a light bulb went off. He said that this was Lilibeth. And so for me, it confirmed that this is representing the Queen of England. Okay. So that I think that's clearly Queen Elizabeth in my book. And I just learned, I don't keep up with what's going on over there with Meghan and Harry and all their drama. but I just learned that Megan had a second. They had a second child, and her name is Lilibet. So again, a reference to this. So I'm sorry. Sometimes when I pause like that, it's because something will come to mind that possibly adds more to this. But, I'm not sure. So what came to me was Lilibet. If this is Lily, maybe this is representing not necessarily the Queen of England, but the child. So, I don't know. Could be. But then I thought this whole gold circle here was like representing a gold crown. Lilibet was born on June 4th, 2021. Okay. So on this scene, Lily looks down and then frowns at the apple, and then she releases it, and then it rolls away. And then Hierophant says that Lily realizes, quote, "This apple is not mine. It belongs to someone else." And I agree with that. I believe that she's holding the apple of God's eye. Zechariah 2:8 reads, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye." Also, you'll see that the exit and the white rabbit are highlighted. I believe this is signifying the exit for the Israelites. I wasn't sure about the white rabbit at first. I Googled it and saw something about say white rabbit on the first of the month or something like that. So initially I was thinking that the exit is going to occur on first day of the Hebrew New Year or the New Year. I'm not sure. Because the first Exodus was on the first of the month of the New Year. Actually, it was created because of that. So that was a thought there. Excuse me. But while making this video, I saw that the Chinese New Year's animal for this year, for 2023, is a Chinese white water rabbit. Okay. So that was very interesting. So does this exit occur during the year of the water rabbit? Again, remember, the original iPad Go 2 video was made in 2012. So they were telling us, 11 years ago, possibly, that this exit was going to occur during 2023. Okay, the Chinese New Year celebration is January, again, I was half asleep when I put these slides together, so please excuse the typo here. So January 22nd to February 5th, that is the Chinese New Year celebration. All right, and coincidentally, this whole thing with the Chinese balloon incidents occurred. Well, that first one anyway occurred during January 28th through February 4th. So just within the time frame of the Chinese New Year celebrations. Okay, and coincidentally, I guess you can say it wasn't a coincidence, but it was just very interesting that those things were lining up like that. Okay, so this next slide, we have the apple. It rolls out of Lily's hand, and then it, goes across here, hits his foot and all that. So I think on this slide, I believe this painted symbols here, I think that is 70. I saw, again, other interpretations and things like that, but I think this is 70, representing Queen Elizabeth's reign. And so it hits Obama's foot, and there's this royal coin under here. So I think that it's just further, I guess, explanation for what this is symbolizing. So when this apple splits, I think that has to do with when Israel split into the two kingdoms, and then they rejoin as the two sticks. Okay, so let me read you this verse. Ezekiel 37:19. Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. Okay, so they come together, and then out blooms this flower, and I think that flower is a lotus flower, which represents death. There are a lot of different interpretations, but I think this represents death, and is signifying the queen's death. And as we all know, she died on September 8th, 2022. All right. So here is the next clip. Okay, so this is the first outdoor scene, and you see there's graffiti on the wall, and it says Psalm 23. Again, I think this is the 23 is referring to the year 2023, when this is all to go down, or at least, come to a head. The color again is in blue, which is referring to Judah. This yellow zigzag line reminded me of the yellow brick road on The Wizard of Oz. And in that movie, Dorothy was going to see the wizard so that she can go back home. Again, alluding to the Israelites going back home. Dorothy is also from Kansas. And so this, as I'm doing this video now, is the day after the Super Bowl. But when I did my original recording of this, it was the morning of the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl was played. And it was Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I had a prediction that the Chiefs were going to win. So, kind of like a signifying that, the Chiefs would be like the black people, and they will be overcoming or defeating the United States. And, it's obvious, planning and that they put out there to let you know kind of what's going on. You will see this flag. It tears, I think, again, destruction of the United States. The clock says midnight. And if you follow the doomsday clock, you will know that it was recently updated to 90 seconds to midnight. And they say this is a time of unprecedented danger. Okay, and it says nuclear risk. So I found, that to be pretty interesting. Okay. So this guy here, I really didn't have too many more insights. Heliofont calls this scene sad. And the only thing that really came to mind was sudden adult death syndrome. So yeah, I'm not even sure what's going on with that, but that could be it. And this, obviously, the two towers with the initial My Pet Goat. But I think this is also looking into the future about what's going to be happening on these soils. And Jason mentioned in one of his videos that this was like shark submarine that I mentioned before. But that was interpretation. I don't really have any insight on that. Okay, so now I'm going to play the next clip. All right, so this is going to be the first appearance of the Antichrist figure. You see the Egyptian symbolism, Ra, the sun god. Okay. So you have this, looks like a ship with coming in here with, warheads. And, obviously we have this reference of Osama bin Laden. And it has this patch here. He's a CIA operative. And it has these black wings. So I was thinking, is this some kind of like angel of death? Or having him here, could that be alluding to the Islamic faith? I saw on social media where someone had posted on February 11th that where those earthquakes happened, that they, in that area, that is where the Arab slave trade started. Okay, then I saw a YouTube short about the location of the seat of Satan. I felt that they were off because they didn't use the full context. So they read Revelation 2:13, but if you go back to verse 12, it gives you some more insights, and it says, Revelation 2:12, and to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, these things saith he which has the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas, my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. Okay, so Revelation says Pergamos, which is a city in modern day Turkey. The short was saying that the location is in Geneva because they say that is where Antipas was martyred. You will know the interesting thing is that CERN is also located in Geneva. So I'm thinking that's why they were thinking that. So back to the slide with Osama bin Laden, and you see that there's this pink moon here. And so I looked it up, and it said that the pink moon, also known as the April full moon, will take place on Thursday, April 6, 2023, around 0400 Eastern time, which basically 12:34 in the morning. So like overnight, Wednesday and going into Thursday. And I'm hoping to catch it. I have my new high zoom phone, so maybe I'll be able to get a good picture of it. But yeah, there's this pink moon that's occurring on this date, April 6th. Okay, and they also call this the Passover moon. It marks the first full moon after the spring equinox. All right. So again, something that's happening this year in 2023. All right, so then they show this. There's these oil drilling machines in the mat, and then you see this substance coming out. I think that might be alluding not necessarily to oil, but graphene, which Stephen from JWTV talks about, and you can look him up to see, what his videos are saying on that. But I think that might be what this is graphene and not oil. Okay, next clip. Let's see what forwards. Okay, let's move along. Okay, so Heliofunk calls this scene, and they, have a different clip of it, but basically this scene here with this screen, and then you have this egg right here. They call it prey, Prey. When I first saw this, my initial thought was, is this the seed of the serpent? And so I was like, because you have them and he's wrapped around. Making a close examination of it. And see these letters here. When I first went through this and I, paused the video, I thought this said Archie, and you can see this might have like an RCH, but that's actually a B, and it says Abchao, ABCHAO, and that means from chaos in Latin. So just going back to the whole thing about this baby here. So Archie, if you're not familiar, Archie is Prince Harry's son's name, the first child that they had, and he was born May 6, 2019. So I thought maybe, that's what this was, talking about. All right. So while we're on the screen, I was thinking this whole television type screen thing here, it makes me think of the use of technology. Draco being in here to gain access to this physical world. In the very opening when he had the marionette things, he was loose, he was free. But here you see that he's in this physical world, but he's trapped, or he's using this technology to gain access, and he's being able to see what's going on through this through technology. Okay, so then you see the Antichrist figure thing again, and you'll see this one-eye symbolism throughout this animation. And so here's a verse here that kind of relates to that, and it reads Zechariah 11:17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. All right. Then you see you'll see this often in this animation, this burning heart. So I know that the Catholic Church uses that a lot. And so I was, thinking, is this like a symbolism that this false prophet is going to be coming through the Catholic Church? So that could be what that means. And then, of course, you have the third eye symbolism here. So this, I call this guy Egghead. But in this scene, I didn't want to make a whole bunch of different slides. But this here, as I mentioned before, he's Draco. And this is what Hierophant says about him. It says, and I quote, "The sorcerer, the unseen hand and spirit of madness, seeking ever more control through trickery, lies, poisons, false flag events, wars, and mountains of bureaucratic and legal framework to siphon off the energy of the inhabitants of the earth. He fears the light of day as he fears life itself, and operates in the shadows. His greatest power is his hold on the issuance of the currency, unquote. This, they named this character here Ludovic or Ludovic. I'm just going to say Ludovic. In Latin, and I quote from their website, quote, "In Latin, ludo means to play, and ovis, ovum, ovis, can mean egg. The egg is a symbol of the potential, genetics, and of the soul. Ovis can also mean sheep in Latin, but in reality, Ludovic comes from a Germanic name meaning illustrious in combat," unquote. All right, and you see here you have these drugs, and they mentioned that here, drugs and needle. And then I also wanted to point out what he's wearing. It looks like an Egyptian type garment here. You see, like the skirt type thing that they wear. All right. The next part on this scene, you see in his eyes, it says market plunge, and then war coverage, next or news, and then you see these fighter jets come up. Okay, here's the next clip. Okay, move along. All right. So the fighter jets go over, and then they strike this what looks like some like Islamic mosque. Okay, so I don't know if this like alluding to Turkey. I'm not sure. The next scene is Heliofant calls this the Pieta, and this is named after the sculpture by Michelangelo depicting Mary holding the slain Jesus. And I intentionally use those words because this is a Europeanized version, so I keep their names. All right. So here we also have, again, not to have a whole bunch of slides, you will see that there's this one eye symbolism comes back, and then you will see that his arm is bandaged, referring back to what I just read, that verse where it says his right eye is going to be utterly darkened, and then his arm is going to be injured. So is this a reference to that false shepherd, the idol shepherd? Possibly. And just looking at this, I've seen different interpretations and talking about this in Mary and the Son. Okay, so that's, yeah, maybe if you're looking at it in terms of, where these symbols or these idols actually come from. But I think this is really looking at Semiramis and Tammuz, because they have them on this seashell, and it reminded me of this birth of Venus, and it shows Venus coming out of the water, being born onto this shell. And if you look at the different names for their deities, Venus is also, can link back to a Sumerian name of Ishtar, which is, Semiramis, and their son Tammuz. So you can go to the History of Religion by Truth Unedited, and he will give you a lot more information on that, as far as like who these quote unquote people were. All right, so I believe that is what we're looking at here. Also, I found it interesting that they lined this up with this vial, and you have the destruction coming out of this this vial in her hand. Okay, next clip. Okay, let me turn my mic back on. All right, so let me move along to these screens here. I'm not really sure what's going on, but you can see these paint or tattoos on this guy here. If you're not familiar, look it up. I'm not going to say here because I don't want this channel to get shut down. But then you have this person here. It looks like a child, or a young person anyway. So when they took this ribbon off, her eyes went dark. Okay, I don't know if this is like AI or whatnot, but there's like a wound here, so possibly a person. I'm sure all of this has some meaning. I'm just not sure what is going on here. All right, next screen here. Now, when I first went through this, I was like, I don't know what this is. But as I started to make this video, again, remember when I said I looked that date back up and I saw that about Venezuela, and I was like, wow, okay, maybe that's what this is about. So let me read you what Wikipedia says. Before I do that, so the scene on this scene is called Juan Pepito on the Heliofant site. And then over here it says Juanita Love. Okay. And this could be this green in the teleprompter. Maybe this is what that was referring to. So Wikipedia says on 30 April, this is 2019, during the Venezuelan presidential crisis, a group of several dozen military personnel and civilians joined Juan Guaido in his call for an uprising against Nicolas Maduro, as a part of what he labeled Operation Freedom. Internationally, support has followed usual geopolitical lines. Russia, China, Iran, Syria, Turkey, and Cuba support Maduro, while the United States, Canada, and most of Europe and Latin America support Guaido as interim president. Now, in 2023, Maduro is still in power. All right, so their little coup or whatever was going on wasn't successful. And you can see that the person that they were trying to put in place, Juan Guaido, I think this is JG. I think this is representing him, going under. His plan was unsuccessful. All right. On this next screen, I put these 4 in 1 just to try to keep it short. So the girl runs up, and you can see this yin yang, and so that was a Chinese symbolism. They show this tiger initially. When I first saw it, I thought of the Chinese movie, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That was my first thought there. And then on here, when he grabs her, she turns around. You can see like this nuclear thing. Remember how everything has meaning. I wasn't sure what this meant up here, but I know it means something. I just don't know right now. And then they show the skeleton, and then when they initially show the skeleton, there's this huge diamond, and then there are these fireworks. Okay, on this scene here, going back up to this first slide, you see that there is this green light. And I thought that it again was related to the whole green comet, but it's quite possible that it could be related to something else. And this was something that actually came to me during I took a bathroom break, and I saw this on YouTube, and I thought this was so interesting. I mean, I was literally in the middle of making this video, and I'm still getting new information. So this is what I saw, which possibly could be related to that green. All right, so remember, I literally saw this as I was making the video. Now, this supposedly occurred on January 28th. And then the person, I guess, who did this or captured this, uploaded it the next day on January 29th. Now, when I made this whole script for this video, which is yesterday, February 12th, I hadn't heard anything about this. I still haven't seen anything on like mainstream media about this wall of green lights that's shining down. Now, this is located over Hawaii, and this was very strange, very eerie. And for it to have so there was another guy that I watch on YouTube just to get like his current events and things like that. And he posted, I think it's AMVTV or something like that. So he posted this, and I thought, wow, okay, maybe that is related to the green that was shown on in this iPad Go 2. So coming back to the tiger on the girl's back. Again, I was thinking China this whole time. But then, I don't know, it just popped into my head to look up, tiger for animal, like country animal. And I came across this for Korea. And it said that tiger is the national animal of North Korea, but there's also a Korean tiger, and they showed this tiger here, coming down like the peninsula shape of Korea. And I found that to be, interesting here. And remember on the other slide where it shows those tanks coming forward. Now on February 8th, North Korea had this late night military parade where they have these like nuclear warheads, being paraded in the middle of the street. So that was pretty an awesome display of power there. And they also had fireworks in this at this event. Also notable, and I literally just learned as I was doing this, that green is also referencing the yin aspect of yin and yang, the female aspect. And during this whole event, the president of North Korea was parading his daughter on the scene during this whole thing. And so I think that is the connection with the green. So it could be multiple things going on, but that could be another connection for the green on that tank. So I think that scene, I thought it was China, but I'm thinking now that it has to do with North Korea. Here's our next clip. Okay, let's advance this. Okay, so first we see this Antichrist figure coming through these 4 rectangles. I know those rectangles mean something. If you know, let me know, because I wasn't sure about that. But we came through, and then he hit a barrier, and I think that's referencing the firmament. And then he bursts these flames out, and then the flames come through this like throat. I think this is like a uvula hanging down here, but it's also referencing that egg that I was talking about. So I think that is, the whole, it was pregnant, and now, it's being birthed out through this, birth canal, which will get a clearer idea of what this is in the next shot. But it's being birthed through this birth canal. Okay, and then they show that little figure that was on the other screen that jumped off. So this is him again, and now he's wearing this mask of Kali. This is the goddess of destruction, aka Apollyon Abaddon, and I think it's also having to do with CERN. All right, moving along. So here they come in, it's clear reference to male reproductive anatomy. On the left side, you can see it looks like a person is facing down, but then it looks like the person is facing upwards on the right side here. So then they zoom in closer, and you see this heart on here and this cross. And I often, again, referring back to the whole Sacré-Cœur with that burning heart. Again, I think this is a reference to that. And I think this is talking about the Catholic Church. And up here with this cloud formation, I thought, when I initially saw it, I didn't think anything of it. But now, as things occur, I think, you get more insight, and different interpretations are now becoming something different because we're getting new information. And so here's this cloud formation that occurred on January 23rd over Turkey. I think that's what that is. So I don't know. This is like judgment, and this is where this is all happening. So yeah, that was when I saw that was very strange. That was very unnerving. But I think that is what this is. And then you get closer, you can see that this lady is trapped in here. Hierophant calls her Madame Q. And let me read what they say. I quote, Madame Q's point of suffering is sex. Is it repression or indulgence? We don't know. But there is definitely some shame there. All right, I take this, I take this as the whore of Babylon, the Catholic Church. And I think this is the part where she is receiving judgment from the Most High. Okay, so the light comes in, she backs up, and then this blood appears and disappears. And I'm thinking this having to do with her judgment. If you look at Revelation 19:2, it reads, "For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servant at her hand." And then Revelation 14:8. And there also another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So this could also just be just plain Babylon, which, if you don't know now, by now it's America. All right, so it could just be talking about America, or it can be referring to the Catholic Church. So that's my take on that. All right. Okay, there should be another clip. Here we go. All right. So, okay, yeah. So, you can see if you're, the whole trembling and quakes, birth pains are occurring, and contractions of birth coming, and you see that this is a church. So this figure is being birthed. It looks like, female anatomy being birthed through a church. Okay. And then I guess like on the spiritual side of it, it bursts through all of these maybe like agents or followers, people that are being used by him. Then it has this burst and then they all disappear. So I think, once he gets his use from them, he puts them out of their demise. Okay. And then on this next one, you see that Draco, he disappears as this light is coming up. And so he retreats to the darkness. Ludovic gets up. So then at this point, it just like hit me to start looking into these meanings of these words and do some more translations. And so I started to look through the Google translation. So in Latin, Ludo ovis means I play sheep. And, they pretty much mentioned it before when I read from the Hierophant site about what his name meant. So I plugged it in and said, I play sheep, and it really didn't make any sense. But after just like thinking about it again, it made me think of the title. For I play, or pet something, a sheep and goat. So I pet goat. So I thought to plug that in, and then after trial and error, I put it in one word, all one word, I pet goat, and it came up to be let go. And so like that really caught my attention, because this character here is wearing an Egyptian garment, and then you have the words let go. So I'm thinking, like, is this like a pharaoh or figure, or thing, or just alluding to Pharaoh in that time of the Exodus, and let my people go and things like that. So I was like, okay. So then I went ahead and I plugged it in with the 2 I, so iPad Go 2. And do you want to know? Oh my goodness, do you want to know what it came out to be? Man, you're going to be shocked. When I plugged it in, just like this on the screen, it came out to be let them go. My mind was blown. I mean, I sat there stunned for like 2 minutes. Let them go. We have this Pharaoh. Let them go. Again, we're talking about the Israelites. The now modern day Israelites, the African Americans, Black Americans in the United States. Well, United States plus, all across the world. But I think this video is specifically targeting the United States. Then you have this, the boy, he's coming back, he's rising. So is this the resurrection of the false prophet? Is the false prophet now on the scene? And you have the moon, so for the moon goddess. So there's that. And then he's coming up, spinning up out of this Islamic temple. And the spinning, I will say, I'm going to interject here, it did make me think of when they show those images of the people that were dying suddenly. A lot of them were doing that whole spinning motion before they collapsed and then passed away. So that whole spinning made me think of that. So is this, coming up out of possibly what is the seat of Satan? I'm not sure. But then I was just getting ready to go on to the next screen, and I noticed this. And I was like, wait, is this CERN? But since then, so things are happening very rapidly. So I saw on social media or YouTube or something that there were these UFOs, and different. I don't even know where it was, but I just saw like a headline, and apparently it was like an octagon. And I look at this, and this could possibly be some sort of like octagonal shape. I don't know. There's just so much happening so rapidly. It's hard to keep up. So initially I thought it was CERN, but could this be, that UFO? I don't know. Then they move on to this guy. And they say his name is L'Enfant Bleu, or the Blue Child. And so this is, again, my second time recording this video. And I realized that this guy could be the same as the figures on the scene with Lily. So this could be like the same person, type of person. But as he's dancing, they show these waves, and then he morphs into this bear mask with the mitts. So it made me think of the Russian. Russia is often referred to as the bear. And it made me think of that being on in the seas outside of the, coasts of America. So that was what I thought about that. Then he turns into this crow. I'm not sure what that is, but then I know this building starts to crumble. So on the other scene, as the Antichrist was getting ready to be birthed, there was some crumbling, things falling, and you see that there was a shaking on the scene with Ludovic when Draco goes into the, retreats into the darkness. So there's this like intensification of like, I don't know if this is like earthquakes, if that's what this is referring to, that there's going to be an intensification of earthquakes, in different places. Next clip. Okay, so this is the final scene of the animation. So as you see, the Antichrist is finally born through the church, and you see the female anatomy, that gargoyle up there. I'm not going to be graphic, but you know what they're talking about. And then as he's coming out, there is these flowers pop up, and I think again that's relating to death. And they showed, death in his wake. Then they show him from the front, his eyes open, and then this crown of thorns disappear. And you see the thorns separate this pyramid structure from the cap here. And he's often referred to as this capstone, because you see like on the back of the dollar, there is no capstone. And so he's now on the scene, that's what they are showing here. Something new, the Osama bin Laden had this upside down like flames on his beard, and so I noticed that the same here. He also has these flames in his eyes, and then you have this church again. I think this is referring to the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. So the church caught on fire in 2019, April 15, 2019. And I think that is what that is referring to. Again, this was created, this animation was created in 2012. So 7 years later, then you have this, coming to play. So also with the whole Notre Dame thing, as I'm creating this thing, I was watching a video. I was trying to multitask, watching Pastor Kelly's from the We Woke Now channel on YouTube, and he was doing a video on the Valentine's Day, and someone posted in the comment section in the live stream that the University of Notre Dame is named for the university idol Diana, the Great Dame. So that really caught my eye, because I live, close to Notre Dame. So that when I saw that, I did a little bit of research. And yeah, Diana is related or connected to that church, and it is the protector of childbirth. And you have a scene where this Antichrist is being birthed. So that was definitely a connection there. And then I saw this tweet. I'm sorry, I don't have the date when this went out. But this person said the burning of the Notre Dame de Paris, Notre Dame de Paris, I guess I'll say it the French way, Our Lady of Paris, is another ominous chapter in Paris's rich occult history, involving the worship of the Virgin lunar goddess, again that moon goddess, and falls in line with the agenda to destroy old traditions on par with the Aeon of Horus. The Aeon of Horus is the name given to the age of Aquarius by notorious occultist, initials AC. This period of chaos is meant to desensitize the population into accepting the destruction of our institutions and traditions, in order to accept the horrors that await us. So she said that this was a period of chaos. So I wanted to find out, when did this period of chaos actually begin? So there was some disagreement, but some say March 20th, 2021. Then there's some that say December 2020. But either way, we are currently within this age of Aquarius. And they also give you these different symbols just to confirm that, to let you know that they know that we are in the age of Aquarius. So you have this new Avatar movie that came out, and it's the way of the water. And Aquarius is, having to do with water. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Moving along, so he comes out, and then there's just the whole crumbling of the church. I think that is representation of the church in whole, that this is like the end of the time of the Gentile. So the church crumbles, and then he, is going off into the sunrise in this instance here. Something that someone had mentioned, that they thought that when Billy Graham died, that was also an indication that there was the time of the Gentiles was up, and he passed away on February 21st, 2018, and he was 99 years old. Okay, so this is the final scene. He comes up and then just kind of hovers right here. You see these pyramids, and I believe that is a reference to the Egypt 2.0, which is America, and it gets struck with some sort of firebomb, missile, meteor, I don't know, but it strikes one, and then all three of these crumble. So I believe that is like judgment on America. And then up here in the clouds, this is like a scorpion, and I believe that is in reference to Revelation 9:5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And then verse 6, and in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. All right, scorpions also can be referenced or related to the goddess of death. All right. Egyptian goddess of death, I guess I should specify, because you have this correlation here with these pyramids. Okay, then over here you have this bird, which could be a dove. In the context of this, last scene, I'm not sure what that means, because dove, you typically think of peace, but this is not a time of peace. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure, what the meaning of it is in this context. All right, so that's it. That's the end of the video. The iPad Go 2, they end with this. And just to kind of summarize, I think that this video is saying that all of these next major events will kind of culminate or come to a head or climax during this year, 2023. And there were a lot of references to letting the Israelites and letting them go. So I'm thinking that this has to do with the second Exodus. And then again, that reference to Passover with the pink moon. So Passover 2023 could possibly be, the time of the exit. So these were the clues that they were putting out there, that I this is not me saying, I think we're going to be leaving on April, 2023, but this is what I'm getting from this video. So, just seek the Most High for his leading. Maybe, you're going to be going to him for insights and sensitivity to this moving of the spirit. But I just thought it would be very interesting just to see what this video is saying. And I wasn't even intending on trying to do any type of interpretation of this video, but it just kind of struck me, and I just wanted to share what came to me. So so that's just basically it. If you have any comments, or possible insights of your own, you can leave them in the comments and let me know, let us know. You can ask questions, but again, I'm not any type of expert on this subject. This was just something that I just noticed and that came to my attention as I was watching this video. So you can put those questions in the comment too. But at the end of the day, you have to go to the Most High and let the word lead you and see what the word is saying, because these elites, they can put these things out to try to trick people and guide you down the wrong path. So at the end of the day, you're going to be seeking the guidance and the leading of the Spirit. All right, fam. So I will talk to you guys later. And yeah, stay prayed up, stay ready. And I will see you in the next one.